Hey, it's Nasty Neal here at the station of decapitation without your head. And I'm joined by director Dale Fabrigar.
Perfect.
And Michael Pare, Uncle Bill himself.
Hey, Uncle Bill.
Yeah. Of They Crawl Beneath, which comes out October 4th on DVD and Blu-ray, which also happens to be my mom's birthday.
Wow, that must be a special day.
Yes, exactly. Now I know what to get her.
Yeah.
So, Dale, give us an idea of what the movie's about. I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, the quick TV guide version is, it's about a guy who gets trapped in his garage after an earthquake. A car falls on him and he gets trapped and tries to escape. And while he's trying to escape, creepy crawlers try to, give him a hard time, and he must escape to live. So that's essentially it.
Yeah. And how did you get involved, Michael?
Well, I had just worked with Dale on a Christmas movie, so I knew that it was going to be fun working with him. And when I read the script, it was like, oh man, this could be very cool. And then knowing what it was going to be like working with Dale, I said, this could be more than just a little horror film. And Susan De Laurentiis and I had worked a few times before that, so I was all in, man. I liked it.
Yeah. And like Michael said there, it's more than a horror film because you have kind of two stories going all around. You got the, like you said, they're stuck in the garage, but then there's also creepy crawly things happening.
Well, not just stuck in the garage, you're trapped under a car.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not just the garage door's locked. Yeah. I don't want people to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dale, when you first see the script and a lot of it is set in a garage, like, I assume in your mind you go like, well, we're going to need to keep this interesting for the audience.
Yes.
So what are the challenges there?
Well, I mean, as you said, originally the seed was laid by our producer Suzanne watching a film called Buried with Ryan Reynolds about a guy who's trapped in a box the entire movie 100%, right? Mm-hmm. So that was the idea initially. She came to me and said, but except these monsters can come out. So we developed this idea in a small single location. We wanted to be contained. But this movie ended up having a lot of moving pieces, quite a bit. The creatures, the location itself, I hope I'm not blowing anything, but that garage consisted of at least four different locations to create that garage. We didn't have a studio where we could build walls and remove them and get that angle and go, and it was pretty insane. So just kind of moving in and around the car and all that under our budgetary constraints, that was a challenge. And always kind of keeping the audience knowing where they are and keep it moving. And how do you do that with one guy that's stuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It might be a silly question, but how do you go about picking the right car for the movie?
That's a great question, actually. Hold on. Well, Suzanne says whatever car we can find is going to be the car we're going to use.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's our budget. However, my art director, production designer, Jacob Guyton, he said, hey, I got a car. You want to take a look at it? I said, sure. So I went over to his place and he had that vintage Mustang. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. I mean, I remember doing models and I was kind of pre-visiting where the bodies and people and how is it going to look, angles. And my car was that same car. It's like a toy, but it's that color. And I had a little white one and a big green aqua teal one. It's wild how things happen when it's out there, right? But yeah, I mean, I just knew that was the one. The challenge with that one was it was dead. It was really not working. So all the lights and all this stuff that was happening had to be rewired just for the film, and we would put lights inside and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, when you see the car, just like your actors, they're good, or it's just something that talks to you, you say, that's the one. They're the person, they're the actor. So
yeah. Michael, you have a lot of scenes under a car. I assume that's not something you've done a lot before.
Well, growing up, I spent a lot of time under a car. Okay. My brother had a 1959 Volkswagen that was never running. And when it was usually me pushing it. So I had a lot of experience under cars.
Much a different circumstance, I would assume.
Yeah, there was no monster except, our inner demons.
And drugs.
Fair enough. How about working with Joseph? Had you worked with him before?
Myself? Yeah. I did. He in this little Christmas movie that Michael and I worked on prior to this, Joseph was an actor that we had read prior for some other roles. And we brought him in just to do a little quick, hey, can you do this walk-on part? It was a really tiny part. He goes and picks somebody up or something like that. And you want to work with your friends and people that are easy to work with, he did it. And his attitude and his professionalism and all of that, it was just fantastic, and he was so giving and so into it, even though it was this little tiny thing. Suzanne recognized that, and I did too. And he was just really good. And we knew he was always in our mind as we were crafting this story. Like, who's that guy? That guy's this. And we looked at other people as well, but he was really in the forefront of our mind, as well as Michael. We had him, he was my model in my head. We were writing it for him, but it was happening, we were shooting, going into production during this crazy time. Yeah. We weren't sure if, people felt comfortable about working, if we had scheduling issues or whatever, but, those two were always in our head. But yeah, Joseph Almani was really fantastic, but that's how we met him working with him initially was just very briefly.
Yeah. And Michael, what was that experience? Because most of your scenes are, you two together, you and Joseph.
Yeah. Well, when somebody's accessible in the scene, when we were working together, it was, it was real. He's a very nice guy. He's not, he's a nice person, and that helps, for the relationship between uncle and son and uncle and nephew. Mm-hmm. So it was a great acting experience.
Yeah.
There are some moments, someone told me, there's some moments there. Were they just improvising? I said, actually, yeah, especially when they're working on the car. These guys would just bust each other's stones constantly. And I was like, is that written? And much of it was written. They just were so natural in the way they exchanged and went between each other. It was just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah. Now, Dale, you just said a couple minutes ago there about, in this weird time. So did you know, did you write this? Did you guys write this going into COVID? And so that does help in having, a small amount of people together?
Yes, that's the answer.
Part of the mind, yeah.
It did. And then that was, I think, instrumental in getting our amazing artist that created the creatures, Dan Rebert, his involvement, because it was kind of slow and he was just looking for something to do. And he dug the script and he had that time and he thought, hey, I can make these in my garage or whatever, and work on something. And we were just lucky enough to have him get involved. But it was timing, and because of that period, yeah, for sure.
And they are very fun, the worms or the creatures, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, the film, I remember going into it thinking, if we do this, I'd love it to be practical.
Yeah.
Practical effects. And I would say 99, if not 100% of all the creature work is all practical. I think there's a little piece where we digitally manipulated it, but it's all practical.
Is there any actually stop motion? I remember when the worms on the ground at one scene almost looked like stop motion to me.
No, there's no spoiler. I hope you've watched the film before that, but no, they were actually operated by rods, like poles. Mm-hmm. So one person would pull it this way and one person would pull it that way and would cause this squirm. And so maybe it's smoother than others, but no, it was never stop action.
It looks very cool though.
Yeah, there's something organically cool about it. And and originally in the script, we wanted each creature to have its own personality, if you will. And it was just, it got really complicated. And keeping track of all of that was just, a nightmare for our scripty. So, but anyway, in the end, we just said, isn't it just scary enough that they're there? So, right. We don't want a funny one and a really mean one and a really not scary one. They're all the same. They're all, let's be scared of them all. But anyway,
it's a primitive life form,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure some people out there who have pet worms, they'll tell you they all have different personalities. But yeah,
I know glowworms.
Not like we didn't think about it. Yeah.
So I don't want to give spoilers, like you said, but Michael, you do have a scene with a lot of effects. What's that like for you to work with a lot of effects?
It's really, you fall back on your craft because the monsters, they're not real monsters. So,
Spoiler.
It's a lot of imagination, but it's people think, oh my God, he does monster movies. It's a lot like theater because half the time, there's 3 walls out there, and there's nothing but audience. So, it's a crafty experience.
Yeah. And whose dog was Cash?
That was actually the producer's dog. It was written in the script, and we said, we can't afford a dog for training and all that. But he goes, I think my dog can do it. And I went to his house, and he said, here's Cash. I'm going to have him do that. And I said, I think that might work. It's going to be worth it, and we were just so lucky. 2 takes, we were done. I mean, it was just, he did everything perfectly. It was just so wonderful. And that's the excitement of making movies, is you never really know what you're going to, you can expect something, but what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
And the dog was just flawless. Took just a couple of tries, but just lured him around. But it was our producer, Kevin, gets his dog.
Well, Cash did a great job.
Yeah.
So, did COVID affect editing and getting the movie finished?
Yeah, because just the process, it always gets in the way. I mean, that terrible event, just we couldn't exchange drives. And then we wanted to do certain things and do pickups and things like that. It just affects everything. It slowed everything down for sure. Even on set, we were all masked and we did all of that stuff, but you just move. It's just different. Everyone's so careful. And especially during that period, no one wanted to get, no one wanted to die in real life. Right. So
right. You sacrifice for your craft, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to that level. Right.
Yeah. The producers were thrilled about that risk, but yeah, but we all went through it and everything was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Michael, a veteran actor, is it exciting to you to work with, young directors and people coming up? And I assume you can teach them a lot, but do you learn yourself from someone, from who looks at things a different way?
Well, it's it's more of a discovery experience than a learning experience because, Dale had a very specific point of view. And, the mantra is an actor's job is to help a director bring to fruition his vision. And it's nice to know that he has a vision. That's comforting. And then you can really relax and I can just do my job instead of, you have to be careful to start worrying and second guessing the director and the cinematographer. That's you can drive yourself insane if you don't feel comfortable on the set. So I had a great time with Del. It was the second time we worked together, and I hope we get to do it again. I want to go to the Philippines and do an action drama or another monster movie would be cool. There's a lot of pirating going on. And I don't mean movie pirating, but real pirates.
Oh, that's what I meant. But okay,
because there's like thousands of islands there, and there's all kinds of adventure. I've been to Thailand and I've been to Indonesia, but I haven't, and I've worked in both those places, but I haven't worked in the Philippines yet.
Interesting. So along those lines, do you plan on working on something new, Dale?
Yeah, we're always trying to survive and keep ourselves busy, right, and get through this and to be creative through that for sure. The next project that Suzanne are working on just in the near future is we're producing something. I'm not directing, but we're working on a PTSD film about a soldier and his family. So it's a drama. And I'll be producing that, and it'll be fun to support that director in his vision and getting his story out. It'd been pitched to us like many years, but it just took all this time to kind of get that support and everything to come through, and it's happening now. So we're currently right now in prep for it. So in about a month, a couple of weeks, we're going to be in principal photography. So we're excited.
Yeah. And
you're not shooting that in the Philippines, though, are you?
No, we don't have a budget for that in the Philippines. No. But there may be a part for you in it. We'll see. If it was my movie, But.
Michael, when you mentioned there you'd like to do a movie in the Philippines and also an action movie, do you look at the actual acting differently depending on the genre of the film?
I lost your audio there.
Uh-oh.
Okay, now it's back.
No, cool. I'll just edit that part out. Do you look at the actual acting differently depending on the genre of the film?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's with action movies, it's about the action, and there's going to be some interesting, family or moral dilemma going on there. But monster movies, you have to have a lot more. You think that monster movies are really lighthearted, but in order to make the story work, there has to be a lot of drama going on.
Yeah, because I think that lends believability then when some monsters come into the movie.
Yeah, when there's a lot more talking, then it becomes more of a. I love it all. I love it all, and they all end up being the same exercise, really.
Yeah.
It was fun because the previous movie we did was a Christmas movie. It was a family drama. It was lovely to see Michael and just exercise those relationship chops in front of the camera, and to be a part of that for me was just thrilling.
Yeah, Eileen Davidson was great to work with. I mean, most of my scenes were with her and Michael Vardy, so I had a lot going there, Dale. You really set me up with that. Yeah,
so for me to see that was just really special. And then with this one, I was thinking, this is it's crazy. There's an over-top scenes in there. And I'll never forget, I turned to our camera people and our producers. There's a moment, there's that standoff between them two in that moment where all hell breaks loose, if you recall. And Michael just I remember being behind the camera. I was operating at that moment, and you just sold that. And I thought, what do I whisper in his ear? He nailed it. That was better than anything. I love it because that's what's great when you get to work with people that know the craft, and you just trust them. And there's always opportunities to try different things. And in these films, the timing is very quick. We don't have a lot. So when you have someone who knows their stuff, and all you can just do is just be grateful and so happy. And it's all, when I get a thrill watching it, I know that I'm hoping that the audience will as well. So it's great to see Joseph and Michael together, working together, and for Michael just sell it in this genre was just really fun.
That's an interesting point you brought up, though, because I think sometimes a younger filmmaker might be intimidated by trying to direct, a veteran actor. But I assume you can't be, because then you're not going to make a good, you're not going to work well together.
Well, I mean, and Michael can talk about this. He's worked with hundreds, if not more than that. I mean, many, many different directors, and directors all have their own way of communicating, speaking to different actors. And sometimes I have to communicate with actors differently as well. Michael is this way, and then this person is that way, this actor. So everything needs to change. It's a communications challenge. Producers always whispering in your ear, you need more of this, but I don't want to. Okay, that's great. I want, and then it's just, it's a lot going on. That's why just to get any movie done it's really something, but yeah.
Do you want to say anything about that, Michael, about, well, what do you look for?
I've worked with a bunch of really old famous actors, and I noticed that the directors, it's like working with tigers or with big cats. You just kind of they're going to do what they're going to fucking do, and that's why you hired them. And
there you go.
Yeah. So that's what I noticed. But I like talking to the director and making sure that he's happy that what I'm doing fits into the bigger picture, because I think sometimes as an actor you can get lost in the scene or the moment, and you forget the impact of that moment is going to have on the next scene or on the next act. So, so I talk to most of the directors, unless it's action stuff. Look, I got to run, I got to jump, I got to shoot, and then I got to roll, and then I got to get hit. There's not much anybody can tell me about that, except, when it's going to a close-up. So, but in the dramatic stuff, it's important that the director and you agree that it's the right time for that moment. It's not too early. It's not too late. It's not going to fuck up it's not going to ruin the next moment, or it doesn't conflict with the last moment. Or they can go to the script supervisor, but the director's a guy who knows what the feeling is of the flow. They talk about the flow, but the flow is the emotional ride that the director's taking you on. And you've got to make sure that you're going to be fulfilling your task.
So They Crawl Beneath comes out this, which is tomorrow when we're recording this, October 4th, whenever you're listening to this. And it's probably too early yet to know like feedback, but have you got a lot of feedback yet for the film?
Yeah, I mean, we just did a screening at the Burbank Film Festival.
Oh, cool.
And
festival.
yeah, there was just a little special screening. It was for us. It was really exciting to see it on the big screen. And Michael was there. I bumped into him, and he was there for another film. So it was really a great, reuniting of, folks. And but the people kind of came up afterwards and gave us some feedback and their emotional reaction to the film. It was really fun. That's what's great about festivals. It wasn't a horror festival either. Mm-hmm. But we're hoping that it finds a place with our audiences and fans. There's a lot going into it and going in it. So I just hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, I really dug it. Thanks for both you guys coming on the show. And we said about festivals, it was one of the main things I missed during COVID. So I'm happy that they're back. Hey,
quick question for you. They said, it said nasty Neal Jones. Mm-hmm. What makes you nasty? Can you answer that question?
It's not going to be a great answer, but Pare Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, it was around 2007 or 2008. He just started calling me Nasty Neal on the show. And I thought it sounded fun, so I just started using it after that.
I love it.
But I've had people, my friend Annabelle says, no, you're sweet. You shouldn't use nasty. You should be sweet, Neal. But that does not sound good for a horror show. But I appreciate that people think I'm sweet. So.
Yeah. Cool, Neal. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Thank you both. Yep.
All right.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.